Hello, hello from the Rio Grande.
Mm-hmm.
We are canoeing today in November. The snow just melted, and so we hurried up and got out here.
Yeah.
I'm Brandy, and this is Richard, and we are Emerged by Design. And we wanted to come today to talk about the full moon on Friday, November 15th.
Mm-hmm. In Taurus.
In Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
Well, let's review where we've come from. We
Right.
started the full moon in Scorpio 2 weeks ago.
In 44.
In gate 44. Scorpio is such a liminal space, the deep within the deep, and we covered that in our report. If anyone wants to go back and see it. But we're really in a liminal space to connect with the other side, the underworld specifically. At the time of that new moon, we've been having Pluto and Mars opposite each other.
Yes.
And Pluto finally moving forward, about to go into Aquarius in just 4 days after this full moon that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. But this Mars opposite Pluto start to the cycle, and Jupiter being sextile to Chiron, there was a lot of stimulation, to say the least, possibly. I mean, there's some, we're looking at old structures of Capricorn with Pluto leaving there. And so things coming up from the past, possibly, things with family dynamics, relationships, very stimulating and triggering in that sense, but great potential within it. And that's what we talked about in our last 2 reports.
That is what we talked about in the last 2 reports. And with 44, you're talking about old structures, and we had the opportunity to let go of whatever fears that we carry of our intuitive knowing of what the right place and space is for us in 44. And then in the first quarter moon, we were able to have the support of gate 13, line 5, that allowed us to really be in that emotional listening, that empathic hearing of what the proper direction for your emotional truth may be. And now the moon is in gate 23, line 6, the gate of assimilation.
Yes.
So now it may give us voice to really understand and express in a way that others can also understand, which is important.
If possible.
What limitations, what wounding, what intuitive truth have come from our limitations and our wounding in this past cycle.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think so, absolutely. I appreciate how you were sharing that. And the other thing to note is that new moon is not only in 23 line 6, but it's in Taurus, and it's also conjunct, full moon, thank you. It's conjunct Uranus.
Yeah.
Which is in gate 8, line 1.
Yes.
So we have 2 individual gates that are right next door to each other. And so Uranus, the planet of innovation, electricity, it's shocking in its own right. Working through this individual contribution of what is my voice? How do I contribute my personal inspiration?
Right.
Lined up with this full moon. And I think it's really potent in that regard. And that story of Pluto leaving Capricorn is so much of this story.
Right.
It's 4 days from the full moon till it finally goes into Aquarius for over 240 years. We are bringing something to a close, the last full moon while Pluto is in Capricorn.
Right. And not just us, but us all.
All of us. I mean, to recognize
all
that
of us.
We're talking transits here. So we're all being touched in this in different ways.
Yeah. And the collective wounding is also being transformed, or has the opportunity to be transformed from the limitation that we live within in our structures that exist around us into that do perpetuate that wounding, that do make us push down what we think is bad, wrong, and shameful about us. And so we can feel those rumblings in the collective right now, and everything that's happening around us. Our shadows are at the surface. And so now we can talk about our judgments that we have about those shadows, because we have 5818 channel being activated here at the full moon.
Yeah, we've got Venus in gate 58.
That's right.
The
and
North Node in gate 18, channel of judgment, design of insatiability. So much stimulation. I think also as you're sharing all that too, I just wanted to add that things are so heightened right now. As we know, we had our elections, there's world trauma, world wars. Being able to find that voice of truth right now, that is the opportunity. I mean, that is the contribution. I mean, this is, it can be an overwhelming period of time, things coming up both personally from past personal history, but also collectively. I mean, we all do see this.
Yeah.
But when we look at these charts, there is real opportunity right now to contemplate what that means for oneself. Following authority, we always want to follow our authority through these stimulating times. But the frequencies that are coming through right now are touching us in areas that are the deepest inner core of who I consider I might be if I was really me all the time.
Right.
And that's potent, and that's powerful. And it takes sometimes this amount of friction and energy to stimulate that in us. And so I'm really excited to share. And we were mentioning the Venus in gate 58.
Right.
We do have this channel of judgment, and this could be part of the uncomfortable stimulation in the Maya. This happens. I have this channel in my natal chart. It can really get out in front of itself about what I think is right about this and that. But handled properly, that is a wonderful frequency because it's in gate 58, the joy of life. I mean, this is what brings me joy, and it's Venus who's typically always concerned about that already.
Right. And then the the South Node in 18.2, bringing the intuitive knowing of what can bring us joy, what does bring us joy. And I want to invite to release, because it's in line 2. Line 2 has some heavy words surrounded by it, but I want to invite the perspective that 58 and 18 in both in line 2 is this very natural expression. Maybe it's too much, but it is joy. It is natural. And it is allowing that judgment, that movement, that pressure in your body to find its way, regardless of what wounding you've received before about what brings you joy in your selfness and who you are. So I think that we get to invite ourselves into allowing ourselves to naturally judge what we judge and have joy in what we have joy in, without putting limitations on it, right? Moving into what is possible now with Pluto and Aquarius, what now is possible through me expressing my individuation with joy and movement forward.
So beautiful. And recognizing and giving the respect to everyone else to do the same. Because whatever becomes, I feel like, uncomfortable stimulation right now is our resistance to allowing what wants to be. Right? Because it's too, for all of us, who's going to be like, this is me, but I may be offended by someone else sharing that.
And remember, this is a channel that asks for invitation before you place your judgment on anyone else.
Absolutely.
And so this is, yes, judgments may arise, and we see them, especially now, all over the place. But let's turn that arrow inside. And, when I'm pointing one finger out, I've got 3 fingers pointing back. And so what is it that I can judge that can break the limitations that I've placed on myself based on the bad, wrong, and shameful I hold in my heart? Where can I move forward with the South Node in 18? What can I bring from the past that maybe I did shut down? Maybe I didn't pay attention to? What is trying to come through me for the joy of humanity?
Oh, wow, that's really, really nice. And it makes me think about Saturn still in gate 63. Right. Saturn, our doubts, our logic, how we previously frame things has the opportunity to change right now.
Yeah.
Saturn is in retrograde and doing some very important work.
That's right. And a new truth can come through. I love that Saturn is in 63 while Pluto is moving out of Capricorn, because they're very, Saturn and Capricorn are together there in this movement forward to find discipline and structure. And so I love that there's a new truth coming, with Pluto moving into Aquarius and Saturn in 63. It is okay. There's something new that we can use as a structure, as a scaffolding to move forward into a new story now.
And what I love about that sharing you just did is that gate 63 is in Pisces.
Right.
It is part of the mystical, the spiritual, the something beyond. It's in the water, which we are into right now. So really fun work there. And I still just want to, I think we've mentioned it, but just that Jupiter is sextile to Chiron. Jupiter in gate 45, Chiron in gate 51, line 6. This is Chiron's second pass back into gate 51. Chiron went through the gate 51 last spring. In fact, that total solar eclipse in April was in 51, line 6. Yeah. And now we're having this full moon as Chiron is retrograde back to that line. And we'll pass all the way back to line 5 before turning forward. So we're going to get one more pass of Chiron in 51.6. But this sextile with Jupiter has been holding for weeks, and it's got more to go. And I think there's a lot of resources in that sextile.
I love that it's in gate 3, 45 gate 3. 45 line 3. Because it gives us an opportunity to find a new way of expression, to find play in our expression, to find the ability to have, and joy is here too. So the ability to have joy and when establishing our new territory, our new queendoms and kingdoms. What is it that we can say in a way that we've never said it before?
Yeah. Well, as I hear you saying that, I'm thinking of Mercury.
Oh, right.
We're talking about how to say things too. And Mercury, I think, is in gate 5 in Sagittarius, closely opposite Jupiter in Gemini in that gate 45. Right. So we call this mutual reception. Mercury's in Sagittarius in gate 5, which is the sign Jupiter rules, and Jupiter's in Mercury's sign of Gemini. So it's an opposition which can be challenging, but they're working together. And so this idea of what is my most bountiful Jupiterian story right now.
And as you say, Mercury isn't really good with patience, but 5 in the 6th line,
He's in
and
line
that
5.
mutual reception that's happening. It's like Jupiter is assisting Mercury to slow down, to have patience, to understand that the universal flow is the thing to be within, and to speak within that universal flow instead of trying to change it.
Yeah.
To be able to use our voice in a way that is supported by the universe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as you're saying that, it's that staying grounded, staying connected, just like we are here on this river right now. Find a space and offer that to yourself.
Yeah.
There's beautiful invitations coming through.
Beautiful invitations. We could also continue to talk about 31-2 in Mars. Mars, it's not necessarily aspected right now, but it is still this natural influence when we express ourselves as ourselves. It's not leadership because I want you to be somewhere else. It's me leading me, which becomes influential. And Mars there, that's the most powerful place to be. I think.
In Leo, he's strong there.
Yeah. So I think that's a beautiful also placement.
Absolutely. Thanks for adding that in.
And we didn't talk about 43-23 because we're really talking about the moon, but I think it's important to talk about the channel that's here, this channel of structuring, this individual expression of what is my truth. Genius or freak, doesn't matter. What is the timing to be able to speak my truth in a new and genius way?
Absolutely.
So, I think we're very supportive.
I think we are. So we appreciated sharing this with you all, and appreciate the effort that can go into contemplating these things.
Absolutely.
We found it to be really supportive. Helps us know where to look and remind ourselves of who we are.
It does. Well, if you liked this, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps out, and we appreciate it. We are also doing a planets course it starts on December 15th. If you want to get to know these planets as if they were coming to your house for a dinner party, please join us. This will be a 9-week journey in which we will get to know your line, your gate, your aspect, and these planets together. What conversations are they having? Are they in love? Are they fighting? What's happening in your chart and in your mythology that these planets lead to? So we will put a link there, and please join us. It's going to be a great, fun dinner party.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you. See you next time.